Folks, this is the Chad Factor on this 4th of July, and I just came back from watching a movie called America by Dinesh D'Souza. Just wanted to see how all of you were doing today and give my review of Dinesh D'Souza's movie America. And I will give this film an 8 out of 10 because it was a lot of stuff I didn't expect, and I disagreed with some things that he did say, but it was mostly in an interview with Megyn Kelly. But I just wanted to start off by saying that basically America is a movie about American exceptionalism. You know, basically conquering, not conquering, talking about the sins of America and basically getting everybody's side of the sins of America, and basically him trying to combat those and still defend this country of still being good and still doing just things, even for its past mistakes and judgments. So, he talks about how they stole the country from Native Americans. He talks about the um, the Mexican American War taking half of Mexico. He talks about enslaving the black man and the black woman. He talks about capitalism, about how people say it's so bad. He talks about how we don't create wealth, that we steal it. That's basically what he talks about. And he also gets into the basic start of the film was basically the Revolutionary War, and basically saying that's the spirit of America, which is blood, war, and alcohol, guns and whiskey, as Alex Jones would say, and got into the NSA spying and things and Hillary Clinton. But I'm gonna come to first things first about what was in the movie. And I first start off with that his whole thing about the Native Americans, that they stole the country from Native Americans. He said that was true, but the Europeans didn't just come and gun down and murder all these Native Americans. He said that over the past 100 years there was an 80% decrease in Native Americans, and that it was because the white man and the Europeans brought measles and uncurable diseases to the Native American people, and that was one of the reasons how they took their land. And also, I add in there that they did actually kill their buffalo, and there were wars and treaties. And he talks about the treaties of the Cherokee and how the government broke those treaties. So he got into the truth of things, there. But he said that most of the destruction of the Native American population was the Europeans bringing the diseases to the country, and and actually killing their buffalo and dosing them with alcohol. And he said that the Native American population should be more compensated for that, and said that they have had reparations, casinos. I believe one of the tribes got $1 billion, so in that nature. He also got into the Mexican American War, which we stole Mexico. Well, actually he said that it was our independence because we took it. Well, actually, we fought for it, and it was for tyranny. That's what he was saying. It was for tyranny, and that the governor was trying to get out the guns and not let them have guns anymore. And that was the reason why they had the Mexican American War. But they gave back half of Mexico after the war. And there was a young Hispanic man that was talking about himself living in America, and he considers himself a Mexican American, but he says that he would rather live in America because they can fight back criminals and fight back certain people, but thanks to the drug cartels and the martial law in Mexico, he can't defend himself. So that's why he's in America, because he likes it there and he feels comfortable there and he can defend himself there. So that was on that issue. Now, on the African Americans, which I was very surprised of the points he was bringing up. He brought up the same point that was said in Hidden Colors 3, that they were more white indentured servants than black slaves. But at the same time, the black slaves went through a more um, human dehumanization than the white European slaves. He also got into the fact that there was a man from France who said that America was great. The entrepreneurship and the way they went to each other was good, but he just said the one hypocrisy of it was slavery, was putting the black man, the black woman as slaves in America while you're talking about freedom and justice. And what he talks about is how Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, and Frederick Douglass, which we all know that Abraham Lincoln was racist. He didn't he want he and I give the next credit for this, that he did say that Abraham Lincoln was trying to get all the black people to Africa and get them out of America, but thanks to slave rebellions, that's not mentioned in the film, but it's thanks to slave rebellions and people standing up, they had to respond that way. But it was a big in part to Frederick Douglass, who convinced Abraham Lincoln that they need to free the slaves. And Frederick Douglass gave a whole thing about black people celebrating 4th of July and said that that was bad. But he also said that we deserve to have just as much right in this country as anybody else. But I give the next credit for saying that Abraham Lincoln did want to send black people to Africa. He also had Michael Eric Dyson to explain himself and explain his position, which was excellent. And he also explained black slave owners, which even Dr. Claude Anderson said, I believe it was a couple thousand to 3,000. It could be less. Have to research it, but I know he said it was a good amount of black slave owners. And Dr. Claude Anderson said that in his speech on economics. So that kind of stuff is what I'm talking about. And what really hit the nail on the coffin for me was when he mentioned Madam C.J. Walker, mentioned her speech about how she was born a slave, how she raised up on nothing and became a millionaire, and the first women millionaire, not black, the first women millionaire. And she was also on the anti-lynching campaign of Garveyite. He did not mention that. Wish he did, though. But it was still a good point that he made, that just because you came from nothing doesn't mean you can't do anything. And mentioned the civil rights movement and what happened with Martin Luther King and the speech. It was good. I'm gonna get into that other part in a minute, but he mentioned that about the African Americans and the slave trade. He said it was a horrible thing and it should have never happened. So I'm happy, and he said we should be compensated. And he also talked about capitalism, a system in which entrepreneurship, and he explained in this is that, do you think every movie star gets rich by working hours and hours and hours? He basically says that they get rich by us buying for their movie tickets. So is that us stealing the money, or is that us giving money to them, to these movie producers and these big corporations that do these movies? I mean, that's just one example. But he basically gets into it, and my whole thing with it is that I hear people make the argument about how bad capitalism is, but I see folks like Michael Moore, Bill Maher, the white liberal scene, the black nationalist scene, not going to say any names, have big mansions, money, and are making money and using capitalism to their benefit. So I really don't see how it's so bad when the same people who complain about it and complain about oppression say this. So that's what really got me. And he explained this about how China and other countries are raising themselves out of poverty thanks to this capitalist system, and that even though there's some fraction of us that's corrupt, it's entrepreneurial capitalism that is the only really good capitalism. But overall, he talked about Hillary Clinton's association with socialists. He talked about um, what America would, what the world would be without America. And I made this video to say that, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be solved. We need to end the war on drugs to stop them from profiling young black men. There's still problems and issues in this country that needs to be handled. But what really kind of gets me is that, if a black person has an American flag, it's like if you wave it, that means that you're a coon, you're a Sambo, you're an Uncle Tom. But what if you just like the country and what it does, or that you've been through so much and now finally you can do it? So it's like it's different stuff like that, because I've seen comments of people saying coon, Sambo, or I'm gonna hit the next black person with a flag, with an American flag. It's like, I understand if people hate this country. Why does it seem like the same people who hate this country so much live here, do good here, and actually make money off here? Because I got in an argument with a girl on Facebook saying, I told her my true views about America, and it's not this bad place to live. You can do well here. And this woman works at a car dealership telling me that, I'm confused and, I should hate America. And it's like, okay. I'm just silent because, you work at a damn car dealership. So I give this movie an 8 out of 10. It had some points from the other movie, Hidden Colors 3. It has some exceptional points to why America is a good nation, or a decent nation. The only things I disagreed with was the military intervention. We do go to other countries, and we do at times steal the resources, and we try to take over their countries and their colonies. Even though every nation does it, but we should keep our nose in our business, which I strongly agree with. And it was a little argument that him and Bill Ayers had about the civil rights movement, and Bill Ayers was talking about the Black Freedom Movement, and Dinesh D'Souza was talking about the nonviolent movement, saying that it's illegally doing something. Well, the news flash is the civil rights movement was fought with violence. I'm not agreeing. I'm not saying I would take Bill Ayers' stance, but the Deacons of Self-Defense, Robert F. Williams, and black people with weapons were actually the ones who made the civil rights movement and were protecting the protesters in the civil rights movement. So it wasn't this whole non-violence thing, this BS that the liberal media tries to say is all about the civil rights movement, which is not the case, because Martin Luther King himself had bodyguards. So for people to even say that it was all non-violence is just BS. And people need to do their research on this. Search Robert F. Williams, Deacons of Self-Defense, and other groups that actually help the protesters from the Klan and racist groups. So that's the only two things I really agree with Dinesh D'Souza. But he let people talk. He let people say their side of the story. And I believe that you can do good things in America. There is opportunity here in America now for even us black people, and we can utilize that and be competitive in a capitalist society. But I just don't like it if people are, judging you by you celebrating 4th of July with your family, or celebrating the start of how America was founded. I understand that you had black people as slaves then, but there were black people who left there and went outside of America. You had black people who were free, but they were up north, who were escaping from slavery. Because I can understand that, but I just get tired of the whole argument that we were still slaves and freed 100 years later. And yes, the founding fathers were hypocrites, but it took that standing and then us rebelling and them passing that to get us the freedom. And really, the true freedom really started in 1964 and 65 5 when we had all the rights and basically. But I just don't like when people keep saying that same narrative and then clown people who celebrate it because it's no big deal. I mean, if you feel that we should that no black person should celebrate that, then we can make our own holidays. Even though we got Kwanzaa, you can make Marcus Garvey Day, you can make Nat Turner Day, the whole 9 yards. So I just get annoyed when people just say Negro P and Coon for just being thankful to live in America and just celebrating certain traditions. I just don't like it when they just bring up the slavery thing every single damn time. That's all. But personal responsibility will make you make your own holiday so other people come to you. But that's my video on America by Dinesh D'Souza. I do give it an 8 out of 10, and I do like this movie. And it's a good movie to watch. Take your friends and family to see it. And do not vote for Hillary Clinton because she has some bad connections. Anyway, this is the Chad Factor out.